This is Melissa Gray, Program Manager with the National Aging and Disability Transportation Center. I would like to welcome you to this session on volunteer transportation, keys of a successful program. I am happy to introduce Joani Shaver, who has served as the Director of the Blount County Office on Aging for 8 years. Joani has served several nonprofits in various parts of the U.S. since 1989, and she believes wholeheartedly that community issues must be resolved by the community itself and led a process that produced a sustainable, senior-friendly, and volunteer-friendly transportation program called Senior Miles or SMILES. The Office on Aging provides several other services to Blount County, including the Senior Service Directory, Elder Watch, information and referrals, and an educational series at the Blount County Library called Focus on Seniors. Joani is a graduate of Michigan State University and has several certificates in aging. She and her husband, Ben, live in Maryville, Tennessee. Joani brings a wealth of knowledge to this subject, and I'm very happy that she's here with us today. Now I want to turn things over to you, Joani.
Thanks so much, Melissa. I really appreciate this opportunity to share what we've learned and the program that we have with other folks that are interested in meeting the needs in their community. I'd like to start just by reviewing quickly what makes transportation senior-friendly. Senior-friendly means it's available when an older person wants to take a ride. It's acceptable to them. It's accessible to them. It's adaptable to their needs, and it's affordable to their pocketbook. So those are the key things that we looked at when we built SMILES. We wanted to make sure it was senior friendly. So our program is located in rural Tennessee on the southeastern edge near the Smoky Mountains. We have 128,000 county residents, and we've attracted to this area a very high number of retirees. We offer door-through-door volunteer transportation. And our volunteers are ages 21 and up. They drive their personal vehicles. They sign up for their trips online using software that's called Assisted Rides. The eligible riders that we serve are residents of our county. They're over the age of 60, ambulatory with the use of a cane or a walker. We do accept oxygen. They have to be able to communicate with our drivers and with our staff, and they have to be able to afford the price of the rides. So those are kind of the basics. Currently, we have 194 riders. We've served well over 400, however, since we began. The average age of our riders is 81. Our drivers, we have 131 volunteers. Their average age is 66. So you can see that there's only a 15-year age spread, which adds to I think the retention factor for our volunteers. They can really relate to our riders. We've given 25,049 trips since we piloted the program in August of 2013. And our volunteers have driven a lot of miles within Blount County. It's amazing. They've probably covered every road. 50% of our rides are for medical purposes, rehab, and routine doctor's appointments. 31% of our rides are for personal needs, and a lot of those personal needs are to go get their hair done, get their nails done. We think that's a fabulous opportunity for socializing, so we love it. The most important advice I can give to anyone who's looking at creating a program is to build a solid foundation under it. This is not like the government coming in with money to create something, because you're not going to hire those drivers. You're going to have to recruit them, and they're going to have to own the program in order to be willing to advance the cause. So we did a lot of community input. We did an aging summit. We sent out surveys. We did meetings, small and large. and we literally ask people to buy in to Smiles. With that ownership comes an understanding of the need for senior transportation. Those of us who work with seniors don't question the need, but someone who is 40 years old or 50 years old, if they don't have parents who are no longer driving, they don't know that the need exists. So that was important for us. And we wanted to be able to have the people in our community sell the concept to their friends, their neighbors, and their relatives. The ownership also led to funding, so we could create a program that was sustainable and get it off the ground. Ownership also leads to credibility and volunteers. Our volunteers are the lifeblood of our program. We know that, we appreciate them, and they know we do. So I suggest you invest time in one-on-one conversations with various entities, including church leaders, government leaders, business leaders, other nonprofits. Distribute a lot of information on the ideas that you have for a program. Gather ideas from those you talk to, ask for their support. Promote the concept and identify the need for senior-friendly transportation. That seniors can't walk 2 blocks to a bus stop. They can't haul 5 bags of groceries back from the store. Recruit credible leaders. That was a key component of our program. We were able to recruit people for our steering committee that really were leaders. They were identified in our community as being leaders who had done great things already, and people trusted them. As far as funding goes, funding is available, as I'm sure all of you know, through grants, possibly United Way or a community chest in your area, donations from the community, from churches. State and local governments have some transportation money at some places, and healthcare providers are really invested in the idea of bringing older people back for their follow-up exams and for their routine annual physicals. So they have a great invested interest in senior-friendly transportation. I skipped over the regional transportation planning on purpose. That is a group in our area that wields an awful lot of money every year. They're the regional funnel for all the Federal Transportation Administration and the state transportation dollars in our region. And just so happened that 2 people from our steering committee were on that planning group. Not to say that I approached them purposely, but I did. And we were able to get, especially our startup funding, to get this concept rolling through that group. We were able to get a 3-year grant after we got the first 1-year funding, and we're able to prove that what we were doing truly was working. And it's a resource that would be available just about everywhere. So you need to investigate who the contacts are for that particular funding source. Our program, Smiles, is a membership program, which means we don't accept every single person who wants a ride. We can screen people and we can serve the people that are most likely to be successfully served through our program. We charge $25 for an annual membership, and that really assists with the sustainability of the program. And then we charge $6 per round trip. Some years we have money to waive a certain number of membership fees for low-income seniors. Most of the people are so happy to have an option that they don't mind paying the price of admission for Smiles. So during last fiscal year, we received $20,000 through their fees. And that $20,000 is money that we didn't have to raise as a staff. So it's really critical. Plus the fact that if someone's paying their way, they value the service more and they get more self-respect from paying for it. So all of our riders pay in advance. Our rides are all purchased in advance, and they pay by check, money order, or credit card. And it's really important that volunteers not collect money from riders or get gifts from them of any kind. It may affect their auto insurance. So getting to insurance and liability, I just want to quickly review that every volunteer that we have went through the same exact process. That is for the protection of everyone. So it doesn't matter if it's a doctor, a lawyer, the janitor, the retired executive, they all go through the same process, which includes an application, confidentiality release, personal references, a training, interview, a background check that's national. And we do that because being a volunteer in the SMILES program provides layers of protection that they wouldn't get if they were just a good Samaritan picking up their next door neighbor and taking them to the grocery store. Because this is an established volunteer program, we have additional protections for our volunteers that are in place. The auto insurance that that person carries is always going to be primary. But we also buy SEMA volunteer insurance, which is excess liability over and above the limits of the individual policy. And our agency, which is a community action agency, our general liability insurance covers our volunteers as long as there is not negligence involved. And we make it really clear to our drivers during the training class. Our state passed a law in 2015 that absolutely limits volunteer liability for those who are driving the elderly in our state in an established volunteer program. And we also have the federal volunteer protection law, which covers volunteers except for when they're driving. So we kind of have the driving covered through the state of Tennessee and the outside of driving covered through the federal program and the federal law. As far as data collection goes, we can pretty much produce any answers that anyone would want to know about our program, about our riders, about our drivers. We use the program called Assisted Rides. It's software that's web-based. And for us, it was the perfect solution. It tracks our rider accounts. So when a rider sends in a check, that money's deposited into their account. Every time they take a trip, the money is subtracted. So it really works seamlessly with that. We recently printed out our destination report, which was very interesting for our steering committee to see how many trips we were making to the hospital, to this doctor, to that rehab facility. And that information is very helpful when you want to raise money. We're using that right now. Tracks birthdays. We send a birthday card to every one of our riders. It tracks the driver insurance expiration dates and anything else that we want to know. It's very, very comprehensive, and we love using it. So where do all these 131 volunteers come from? The original drivers, we started with about 10 back in 2013. The original drivers were recruited primarily through our steering committee. They recruited their friends, their neighbors, their church affiliated people. We wrote a lot of newspaper articles, got a lot of great coverage, and we did many presentations to churches and service clubs. Sunday school, presentations were very valuable to get this program off the ground. We have 19 of our original drivers from 2013 are still driving. We think that's pretty incredible. We continue to do all those things, plus now we really always are encouraging our drivers to recruit their friends, their neighbors, and their relatives, because they are the experts. They're more of an expert than I am or our staff. Riders are also a great source. We have some of our drivers are children of our riders, and they are so appreciative that they want to help out too, just not their mom. So where do you start? I just want to give a little bit of advice from where I sit. I think that most places you need to start working on the specific senior-friendly program that you're developing for your community. And at the same time you're doing that, getting input and support from the community so that it kind of merges together at the end. And when you're ready to go with the program, you've got a program that the community is almost bought into because you've sought their ideas. By using a basic framework, moving from the program concept to the actual program isn't as difficult. There's just decisions that have to be made for each community. In order to make a volunteer transportation program work, it's got to be filling the need of your community, not my community, not the community one county over. And every one of the communities has different needs. So you have to really keep an open mind as to what would work best and where your people need to go, where your volunteer sources can originate from. And one of the things that I like to remind people of is when you recruit a steering committee and you have leaders from your community sitting around a table, they don't want a blank piece of paper. They want a framework that they can discuss, give input to, and then move on and get it going. The biggest decisions creating a program for your area would be how big of a service area you're going to have. We decided to only serve our county, Blount County, Tennessee, even though we know there's a need to go to the adjacent county in Knoxville. We don't do that. The amount you're going to charge is totally going to depend on how far the rides are going each time. Your budget, we started with a half-time person, and then I was helping out probably at least one day a week when we first started, probably even more. The volunteer recruitment, who are you gonna recruit? You can tell from our numbers that we're focusing on retirees. They have been a really great source of volunteers for us, but you may not have the number of retirees in your area that we do here. So you may want to do a total different tack and go in another direction. It's really make it local. You guys decide what you want to do as far as who you're going to target for drivers. The biggest push is going to be a launch date when people are aware that this program is about to get going. There was a lot of pressure on me from my steering committee to put this in place before I felt it was ready. And that's really a critical thing. You don't want to launch it. You have one chance to do this right. And if it doesn't work, you'll never have another chance if you're in a small community. They're going to, the old adage, well, we tried that and it didn't work. So it's important to push it out far enough where you have enough time and it is a solid foundation, and you're ready to go. The other thing I would urge people to do is think about how you're going to evaluate your program before you ever start it. That's an area that we failed to do. We have made a significant impact on a lot of our riders, and we can't measure that because we don't have a baseline assessment of them before they took their first ride. So I would suggest that you think in terms of sending out with an application a baseline survey of where they're at as far as their independence, their isolation, depression, those types of things, because that really will help in the long run to prove that what you're doing is making an impact. And how we share that impact, we have a lot of contact with our drivers and our riders. We don't send out invoices for people who need more rides. We call them and they talk to them. We text and email our drivers more than we talk to them on the phone, but we still have a great rapport with our volunteers. We do interviews. We've done interviews with drivers, interviews with riders. We've written stories in the newspaper. We have a couple parties every year. What I've found is our volunteers are not real hot on social gatherings. They're kind of the people that just want to sign up, do their part, and not have to go dress up anywhere. So we get some of the same ones come all the time, and some we've never seen, and it's because that's just not their thing. I share this support, the impact of our program through our case for support, which we use in our annual campaign and other documents that we send out through the year, our annual report. We have a monthly newsletter. We have brochures, newspaper articles, but our riders and our drivers really are the ambassadors for Smiles. One of the things that I just wanted to share is that when we wrote our last United Way proposal, we focused on the vulnerability of seniors who are non-drivers, and it seemed to work really well. So that is the research maybe somebody in your community can be doing is on what makes a non-driving person vulnerable and how a senior-friendly transportation program can help reduce that vulnerability. That was something that we felt was very helpful. So best of luck to you as you create senior-friendly transportation that's tailor-made for your community. That is the best part about it. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.